Welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast with Jared Kirk and Matt Milbauer. Hey listeners, I want to thank our sponsors. If you haven't noticed, we like sponsors that do something in particular, and that's giving back. You'll notice with both of our sponsors, they give back, and that's one of the reasons we really love them, and we hope that you take a look at what they're doing and help support them so they can help support this hobby and sport that we love. First up, Bird Hunter Supply, your go-to for premium hunting gear at birdhuntersupply.com. This family-owned business, run by a husband and wife team from Idaho, is driven by their love for bird hunting, dog training, and the great outdoors. For them, hunting is a treasured family tradition. Think crisp mornings in the field, the thrill of the chase, and those irreplaceable moments with dogs, family, and friends. They've built Bird Hunter Supply to share that passion, curating high-quality gear to help you create your own lasting hunting memories with your crew. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned hunter, Bird Hunter Supply has you covered with top-notch equipment from dog training tools to hunting apparel, backed by exceptional customer service to make your experience unforgettable. Best of all, they're deeply committed to preserving the wild spaces we love. When you shop at birdhuntersupply.com, you can choose at checkout to direct a percentage of your order to conservation powerhouses like Pheasants Forever, Ruffed Grouse Society, or Delta Waterfowl. Your purchase helps these groups protect vital habitats and sustain the wildlife that makes our sport possible, ensuring hunting traditions thrive for generations. Visit birdhuntersupply.com today. Explore their carefully selected gear and support a family-run business dedicated to both hunters and the outdoors. That's birdhuntersupply.com. Gear up, hunt with purpose, and help preserve the wild. Now let's talk about our next sponsor, Hunt Ready. If you chase birds like we do, you know a great upland vest is one of the most important pieces of gear you own. Hunt Ready builds tough, modular, ultralight strap vests that are sourced and sewn right here in the USA. Their Deviate and Elevate series use smart, patented designs that actually stay comfortable mile after mile, whether you're carrying birds, water, or extra shells. They're built by hunters for hunters who put in real miles in the uplands. But what really sets them apart is their Pave the Way program. It's a first-of-its-kind initiative focused on getting high-quality vests to the next generation of upland hunters. They accept nominations for kids who are fired up about bird hunting and work to help equip as many as they can so those kids can get out there building real memories with their dog and their shotgun. If you're in the market for a new vest or you want to keep upland hunting alive for kids, check out Hunt Ready at huntready.com. That's HUNTREDI.com. Lastly, but definitely not least, I want to thank all of you patrons out there that support us on Patreon. You keep the lights on month after month. Really, thank you for your support. Links to all of our sponsors and their really cool programs that give back are linked in our podcast description, and credits to our producers. If you're interested in becoming a producer of the show, you can check the link there and find out how. Hey listeners, before we get into today's interview, which I really did enjoy and hope this is a guest we can get back on again because he was really fun to talk to. But I want to talk about our new sponsor, which you probably heard on our last episode for the first time. Then again today, on top of Bird Hunter Supply, we also brought on Hunt Ready, which makes a really nice strap vest. And the most attractive thing to me about Hunt Ready is their Pave the Way program. Where they're giving vests out to kids. Like literally a really nice, you go to their website, check out their vests. You'll see these are some nice, high quality, definitely not low cost vests. It's one of those things where it's like no expense was spared, you can tell. But I love that they're giving these out to kids who need them. As I've talked about before, I've helped my nephew get out in the field. His parents don't upland hunt, but he wanted to get out, so he goes out with me, and every birthday and Christmas I get him a little new piece of gear and got him a vest and some boots and that kind of thing, right? It's nice because for gifts, for those occasions, it makes it really simple. Like, all right, what else does he need that's blaze orange? But not everyone has that uncle, or not everyone has parents that can afford to go get him the cool stuff. And most kids don't have parents who can afford to get them a really nice vest like Hunt Ready vest. So I really love that they have that program. You may also be thinking, well, I've heard Matt and Jared talk, and they both have Final Rise vests. What's up with these Hunt Ready vests? Are they switching over? Here's the case. Yeah, Jared and I have Final Rise vests, and they're great. We love our Final Rise vests, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. If I had heard of Hunt Ready before, the quality of the vest looks at least on par with Final Rise, if not better in some aspects. I'm sure it's a preference thing, but they look awesome. I would love to have one and have my primary vest. And if I heard of them first, just because of the Pave the Way program, I would have supported them. I love it. I love the way they're doing business. I love the way Hunt Ready approaches the upland world and space. They're not out there chasing clicks and social media followers like a lot of folks on companies are, and I guess we do to an extent, as much as we trying to make that our focus. Like everyone's a little guilty of anytime you post on anywhere. But that being said, Hunt Ready's not trying to do that, and that's why I wanted to partner with them. We wanted this on Go Flush Yourself because they're out there doing it the right way. They're just out there helping kids in the next generation and putting out a high quality product. So if you're in the market for a new vest, please give them a look and see if that's something you would be into. I'm not going to get into this every episode. Just wanted to cover it in kind of one of these first ones where we're talking about our new sponsor. And then if you're out there and you have a company or a business or some way you'd like to sponsor the show and you think you could kind of get into our world of a company that gives back, an organization that gives back, and you'd like to get the word out on Go Flush Yourself, feel free to reach out to us. All those ways to reach out to us are in the podcast description. All right, with that, let's get into the show. Andrew Marshall Wayment, who goes by Andy, is an author and attorney from Idaho, whose writing focuses on upland hunting in Idaho, chasing all 9 of Idaho's upland bird species with a special focus on grouse. His new book, Idaho Grouse Fever, releases later this year in August. Check out the link in the podcast description to pre-order it or even pre-order a signed copy. Today, we're getting into his work and his dogs. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting. I've been on quite a few podcasts before, but never one focused strictly on the Flushing breed. So, I guess I would say I'm a fan of both. I'm a closet fan of the Labrador Retriever and a lover of the Golden Retriever. So, I've hunted with cockers as well. They're all great breeds.
Yeah, it's hard to say anything bad about any of the dog breeds out there we hunt over, but especially once you see them. But yeah, for sure. I think we might be the only Flushing dog podcast I know of. There's one that our friend does. He's been on the show, just cockers, the Cocker Chronicles, which is he has really cool guests on, but
Very cool.
there's not too many out there just from Flushing. I think
I know Ron Bame from the Hunting Dog podcast has. I want to say he had a flesher, but cocker, I want to say.
Yep.
So others have had them, but that's not the focus of the podcast, So
yeah, he was on about 3 episodes ago.
Oh, great! He's fun.
Yeah. We were talking cockers and that kind of stuff, so it was fun, and his interest in them. So
excellent. I've been on his podcast twice, and he teased the heck out of me. So. Yeah, I enjoy Ron. He's great.
He's funny. Yeah, he's character. So why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and let them know what you're all about, where you're from, all that stuff.
Okay, you bet. My name's Andrew Wayment. I go by Andy. I live in Idaho Falls. I'm a practicing attorney. I've been practicing law now for about 25 years. And mostly in this area. I did a 2-year clerkship with a judge up in the Haley, Sun Valley area, which was a lot of fun. That's a wonderful area for people who love the outdoors.
Yeah.
But been here practicing law for most of that time. I'm also a lover of the outdoors, so I do a lot of fly fishing, a lot of bird hunting. I've got 2 bird dogs. I've got a big family as well. I've got 6 kids, so.
No.
Been married for over 30 years. And one of the things that I enjoy doing in my free time is writing. So I've written for a blog. We call it the Upland Ways blog. I've written for numerous magazines, published a lot of articles, and I've published two bird hunting books in the past: Idaho Rough Grouse Hunting, The Heartbeat of the Woods, and Idaho Upland Days, which has a long subtitle, which I won't go through. But yeah, and I've got another book that's coming out soon. It'll be out August the 18th, and it's called Idaho Grouse Fever. So I'm pretty excited about that one as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. And I've just started reading Idaho Upland Days. Looking forward to read all of your books. I love upland books and upland stories, especially in the off season because I'm just like waiting to get back out in the fall, and reading those books really scratches that itch for me. So I
Oh,
love it.
good.
Yeah, yeah. So. Well, you've written now, well, with the new one coming out, there'll be two books focused on grouse. And are they on a certain type of grouse? I haven't gone that far. It looks like there's a wide variety of grouse that you follow, but do you have a certain affinity towards grouse, or is that just something
Uh,
you're seeing the most common of, or what's you and grouse? What's going on there?
I'm a grouse nut. I'll just put it that way. I never met a grouse I didn't like. I love them. So, my favorite bird to hunt is the rough grouse. And the first book that I actually had published is Idaho Rough Grouse Hunting, which is specifically about that pursuit, essays and stories. It's not a where to, how to. But I wrote that book and it was published back in 2018. And Idaho grouse fever is about hunting all of the five Idaho species. So
Nice.
it's, or, it's kind of the same, same, I guess, tone and same, like Idaho rough grouse hunting, a lot like Idaho upland days too, but Idaho upland days covers all of Idaho species. So, but this one covers all five of the species and just, fun stories about hunting them. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, do you have a favorite species, or is that like asking to pick a favorite kid?
I love them all. I love rough grouse; they're my favorite.
Right, that's what you
Um,
said, right? Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I do love sharptail. Probably sharptail and blue grouse. I'd kind of put on even. Blue grouse are a little bit tougher to find throughout the hunting season, but they're one of my favorites. I think blue grouse in September is unbeatable, and then sharptail in October in Idaho is as fun as it gets. So I just love those two. I don't hunt Franklin, which are the spruce grouse species,
Right.
subspecies that we have. I don't hunt them as much. I do enjoy hunting them, but they're kind of the quintessential fool's hen. Usually you got to flush them out of a tree, and they don't fly as hard. But
Throw a
but I
rock at him. Get out of there.
yeah,
Yeah, fly.
yeah, or poke them with your gun barrel
Oh
to get
no.
them. Yeah, so I do hunt sage grouse as well, and I enjoy them. You always kind of feel a twinge of guilt when you hunt them, just because they're struggling a little bit. But
Yeah.
they're a wonderful game bird. Love the places where you find them, and they're I always tell people, they say, well, those are big dumb thunder chickens. They don't fly very fast, but I've been burned by them a bunch. So you'll read about it. You'll read
Yeah, I'll
about
find out.
it.
No, that's great. I don't think trying to think. I've never shot a grouse. I don't think I've even hunted one. But in my area, we were talking before the podcast about you're kind of familiar with my area. You've been around Moses Lake, which is north of me, but it's in the Columbia Basin over here in Eastern Washington. I got to drive a little bit to get there, so it's be pretty intentional to go find a grouse from where I'm at. Here, it's all valley quail and pheasants and huns and chuckers. Um, but since we started the podcast, I think Jared's even more so than me, but we've been super curious and trying to get to the Blue Mountains to try to find some forest grouse. And then I really have an itch to just find one sage grouse. We'll see if that changes. But I have the same feelings you do. Like I feel a little guilty because I know they are struggling as a species, and certain areas obviously do better than others. Like they used to be up here in Eastern Washington, but they're not anymore. They are, but I've
They're
never
not a
seen one.
hunter
Yeah.
population. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's one of
Yeah,
those things I'm like thinking about. Like I like to go get one. I like to shoot for a flushing dog to see like if I could do it, and to go down to Nevada, Wyoming, or down your way in Idaho, and
yeah.
try to
Wyoming is
scratch one out.
wonderful. I've actually hunted Wyoming quite a few times, and I'd say that the populations there are even a little bit better than Idaho. But if you know Idaho and you know which areas to put in for, you can find decent sage grouse hunting. I mean, it can be a lot of fun. Idaho has a system where you basically it's a first come first serve. You got to put in for the hunt, so you really got to be there like the opening day when they start selling the tags, and
Right.
they will sell you as many as two. But otherwise, if you don't get the two, it's just a one tag. You know, so it's a lot of, I guess you could say, hassle to go and to get the tag, but it's just a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun to
Yeah.
hunt.
I love
So
that biome too. We have, that up here as well, some of the just vast stretches of sagebrush, and
yeah,
it's one of my favorite places to walk, favorite places to see. I know a lot of people, maybe
ease
people
of
listening to
play.
this can expect that, but like my wife's like, "Why do you like the sagebrush so much? Like, you can go up to the mountains and see the green trees and all that." And but
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I
Um,
was going to say it has its own special beauty, and
yeah,
and if you weren't out there looking for a bird, you wouldn't appreciate it as much. To me,
might be
it's
right.
like the the wildlife of that biome is what makes it so special. If you took away the sage grouse, you took away those game birds, it would be dead. It wouldn't be as special. So, there's just that special component. Kind of like chukar. I mean, who the hell would ever go into chukar hunting country if there
Yeah,
weren't chukars? You know what I
it's
mean?
true.
You'd have to be crazy.
Yeah, yeah. There's better places to climb a mountain that may be even more scenic than checker
Oh yeah,
hunting. It might be
yeah,
true. Yeah, yeah. That's a really good point. Um, so we mentioned a little bit already. I mean, I think we did. Maybe you did. That you have a golden retriever and a French Brittany.
that's right.
Um, Golden Retriever, obviously, a retrieving slash flushing breed. We call them all flushers because we go flush yourself, but obviously more of a retriever. But when you're upland hunting, they're flushing birds, just like my springers are. Um, First, let's talk about the golden. What led you towards a golden retriever as a bird dog? It's a popular breed, but it's not the most popular of the flushing breeds when you think of labs and maybe some of the spaniels.
You bet. I love that question. So I've always been kind of a closet fan of the Labrador Retriever. I've had quite a few of my best friends that had labs, and I've always appreciated the retrieving breeds because of them. Never owned one, but I always kind of was a closet fan of them. My brother Sean and I are big time into pointing dogs primarily. We've had English pointers, and we've had GSPs, we've had American Brittany's, and we've had French Brittany's, and he loves setters. So we're kind of a pointing breed family. But my family has these friends. They're the Drapers that aren't hunters, and they back in I'd say probably 2019 got this golden retriever that wasn't a hunter but had the filled coat and
Hmm.
just a smaller size, not the big giant golden retrievers like you see, but more of a filled bred looking dog. And we got to watch her for a week. Her name is Amber, and I just fell in love with that dog. She's just smart, fun to be around, neat personality, very biddable. I mean, we took her out fishing with me, and she'd stand there right with me while I was fishing. And I thought I would love to have a dog. I could teach this dog to hunt. Is kind of what my thinking was. And anyway, um, about 2 years, after she was 2 years old, they announced that they were going to breed her. And my daughter, Emma, who's my oldest, she's also my legal assistant here at my firm. She said, I want to get one of those pups. And I said, I'll pitch in because I want to teach that dog to hunt. And so we kind of did a gamble because, Amber wasn't from hunting stock, even though I think somewhere back in the line she was, and the father kind of one of the big, fluffy, dumb show bred golden retrievers. So we were really gambling, but I was just hoping and praying that we'd be able to get a dog that could hunt. And so I took her out for the first year, and she was, great to be around, no problems, but really didn't, you just didn't see the prey drive, And there was one time I think we were hunting sharptails, and Rainey goes on point, and Aki is the golden. Akiko is her name, which is Japanese. My daughter loves everything Japanese, but Akiko means fall child, and Aki means fall. So we call her Aki. And Aki's standing right beside me, and Rainey goes on point, and then sharptails just start busting up all around me. And Aki kind of runs in, and I see her flush one, and that's the only time during the first season that she showed that prey drive. So I'm thinking in the off season, I'm thinking, I don't know, man. I don't know if this, dog's going to become a grouse dog. But, we keep taking her out for runs. And one day we were out by the high school, just kind of hiking around, and the dogs go into this enclosure, and at the school, there's this trailer, and Aki runs under the trailer, and this jackrabbit comes out, and she chased that thing for like 200 yards, just barking at the top of her lungs. So I said, maybe she's got it. But anyway, I took her the first day of the hunting season. I'll tell this story because it's kind of a fun story. But first day of her second season, we're up on this area that we call Grouse Ridge, and we're kind of back towards the back end up at a place we call Dusty's Nub. And there's these trees that kind of come over like a canopy, and I call it the wind tunnel, but it's really a grouse tunnel because the grouse are all on both sides of this 2-track. And anyway, Rainey starts getting birdie, and she goes off the trail and starts working real cat-like down into this sage flat. And we work down probably about 20 to 30 yards, and Rainey locks up on point, and I'm looking, and I can see a blue grouse, and it's sitting on top of this buckbrush, and I'm like, oh man, this is awesome setup. But I'm thinking Aki's gonna, maybe bust this bird, but it was perfect because Rainey's pointing, off to my right, and Aki swings around from the left, and it's kind of like the perfect trifecta because I'm standing in the middle. She flushed that grouse perfect for me, but not one, but two grouse. Or actually, it was more than two. Two grouse got up, and I shot the double. So yeah, and so anyway, it was just exciting because here it was the perfect working of the two different breeds, and Aki
Yep.
did her. She didn't retrieve at that time, but anyway, I wrote about this in my new book. So that this whole Aki saga, I guess you could say, is one of the chapters in that book. So I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but she ended up just really becoming a natural retriever and having a lot of prey drive. And
Nice.
last year, one of my favorite days in the grouse woods was with Aki. She was the one that was finding the birds and giving me perfect straightaway shots. Flushing them up for me. So, I don't think she's a liability at all. I love her. I think she's a great dog. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I
yeah,
love it. Yeah. I know my co-host, Jared, he's toying with his next dog being a golden, and our in our Pheasants Forever chapter, our representative for the region, he's big into Goldens, and he was just down for one of our events and brought one of his with him. And yeah, he was like laying on me as we're standing there, and I'm just like, yeah, I get it. I get
yeah.
Goldens are even more like lovey-dovey than Labs, it seems like, from the ones I've met. So
No,
that's
for sure.
awesome.
I mean, they're just great companions. I mean, I come home and that dog's just looking at me smiling and brings me a
Yep.
shoe or a water bottle or and they love big, and they're a little more personable than most breeds. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
that's as we've talked about this before, but we often talk about how Flushing breeds, on average, I got to say that, um, seem to be they want to work a little closer with you in the field because that's what they're bred to do. Like they have to work with you closely, and like I know one of my springers is better than the other, but you're always checking back, like where are we at? Like, am I getting too far away from you? And it's probably more her genetics and definitely not my training, but she doesn't get out of range very much. But pointing dogs are supposed to. And I grew up also as a kid with English pointers, and that was a different ball game. But even though they were sweethearts too, I just feel like a different connection with the Flushing breeds when I have them in the house and just around the yard or on a walk or whatever. They feel more like my buddy and not like my coworker, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
for sure. I don't want to disparage my French Brittany because she's really personable too, but she can
Yeah,
be. I mean, I think there's just a greater desire to please,
yeah,
in the retriever breeds than maybe some of the pointing breeds, and that's just a general statement. That's
sure.
obviously not the case across the board, but
Sure, sure. All right, well, let's talk French Brittany. Now, I've mentioned on the show that even though this is Go Flush Yourself and Jared and I are dedicated flushing dog guys, uh, I'm very curious about a French Brittany. I like um, smaller dogs and definitely, and and I don't know. I think I started watching Northwest Wing Shooters. I don't know if you've seen that on YouTube.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
a friend of mine. I've actually been on his show
Oh,
twice.
okay. Okay,
Yeah, so
cool.
go look it up. You'll kind of see
I'm gonna go
some
find
of
it
my
now.
favorites, and yeah, yep,
Okay, so yeah, I've been watching his for a while, but maybe since he started, and I think he's coming on the show this summer. Not
good.
100% locked
I
in on
like
a
that.
time yet, but we're talking about it just to talk hunting in the Northwest more than anything, even though he has Brittany's and we have our Springers. But I watched that and I'm like, I love the way those dogs hunt that he has.
Yeah,
And it just I think that's Sunburst Kennels down there in New Plymouth.
yeah.
But
Which
I'm
I
just
think,
like,
yeah, I think those dogs are American Brittany's, if I'm not mistaken, but they
oh,
are
are they?
small.
They're
They are
small.
small. Yeah, they're small like the French Brittany's. And I'll tell you what, what's his dog's name? Dizzy.
Dizzy.
She's a bird dog. I've never hunted with his new male, but I love Cooper. That dog wasn't out of the same kennel,
Oh, it
but
wasn't.
great.
Okay.
Yeah, great dogs, man. Rob has good dogs, and he's a great companion in the field. Just really love to hunt with Rob. So, but yeah, his dogs are great. I would compare Rainy, quite a bit to Dizzy. They have kind of the same hunting style, about the same size. I Rainy is not my first French Brittany. I had a French Brittany back from 2002 till 2016. Her name was Sunny Girl, and she was the runt of the litter, and kind of injured herself at a young age, and so really wasn't as athletic as some of the other breeds. But man, I always tell people that no dog ever hunted harder or loved it more. So I really loved her, and that's why I decided to go back to that breed, back when my American Brittany passed away, is I just really loved Sunny Girl, loved her companionship. I'd say Rainey's kind of the best of both worlds. She's got the athleticism, and she's also very good in the home and a good companion. So you do get kind of the best of both worlds there. You know, the kind of the description that you hear is they're angels in the house and demons in the field.
Heard that.
Rainey she can be kind of a pain in the butt in the house. She does a lot of stuff when you're not looking that kind of drives you crazy, like humping pillows and all that. But
Not
otherwise,
quite an
she's a
angel,
great,
but yeah.
yeah, not quite, yeah. So, but she's a great bird dog. Really fun to hunt with. I'd say she's just one of the best grouse dogs I've ever had. So.
Hmm. So you talked a little bit about it, and I don't want you to spoil the stories because I'm looking forward to reading them. But in the field with the Golden and the French Brittany, you mentioned one success, how they it all worked out together already. But what kind of challenges have you ran into running them together, or maybe do you not run them together fairly often?
I last year I'd say I probably ran them together about 60 to 70% of the time. And it's just because I mean, I know that there's always that chance that Aki's going to get in and kind of mess things up. But more often than not, I think they just have a different hunting style. But the thing
Right.
that I would tell you is that so I always hunt in the woods with a bell. Rainey was wearing a bell, and that's kind of how I gauge where she's at. By the sound of the bell. So if the bell stops, I know she's most likely on point, and I need to get to her. And Aki's learned that if that bell stops, there's going to be grouse. So sometimes it's a race between me and her to get there first, and that's a little bit frustrating. But I'd say, like I said, I don't. There are times when I'm like, I don't want to compete with Aki today, so I'm going to go and just take Rainey and spend time with her. She's actually 9 years old this year, so and I'll probably do that this year as well. But most of the time it works out. Usually Aki will kind of tire out, and she does. She knows she can't keep up with Rainey, and you know. But again, there's always that temptation. If that bell stops, she's going to look for Rainey. So
Yeah. All of a sudden, she's probably not so tired anymore, and it's like, oh, the
yeah,
bell stopped. Like, I don't
yeah.
care if I
Not to
was
get that
dead
bird.
tired all day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I bet.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's fun. Again, I don't know that anybody has the perfect system for it. Um, I know that there's a lot of guys that do hunt that way and kind of are hacking at their dogs. And I don't like to yell at my dogs the whole
Mhm.
time. So, but some of the funnest hunting I've ever had was with a friend out in South Carolina. He has a cocker. His name is Matt Lee, and he also runs pointers. And we would send his pointers, to find the woodcock. And then once the G or the I guess he has a Garmin. Once the Garmin notifies you that it's on point, then he would allow the cocker that's walking at his side to go in and flush for us.
Right.
So I'm not that disciplined. I'm not that
Yeah.
great of a trainer.
Yeah, the trick there is getting the cocker to walk at your side. I'm not, I haven't done that with any of my
Yeah,
dogs. Maybe one of the labs, but definitely not any of the springers.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they're too wanting to hunt on their own.
for
But
sure.
but yeah, it's one of those things too that I know if I go out for a longer day and I'm hitting different spots, I'm alternating my springers, but I get to certain spots and I just think, I wish I had a pointing dog right now looking at this land in front of me or knowing what's about to go through with the flusher. And I'm like, I wish I could just open a kennel and a Brittany would pop out. All right, let's go, and that kind
Yeah,
of thing and let the springers rest in the truck. And that's what's enticing me a lot, but also like hunting them together, I'd have a hard time not doing it. So lots
yeah.
of wheels
Yeah.
spinning on that.
One thing I'd say though is that there's something cool about I mean, kind of with a pointer, when that dog goes on point, if it's
Hmm.
staunch, you're not, that dog's not going to flush that bird. So sometimes you have to walk into some nasty crap to
Yeah,
get the bird flush, and you're not in the best position. And
right.
so to me, there's something ideal about, like, I'll give you an example of places that I hunt. We hunt a lot of creek bottoms and with willows because that's where you find rough grouses. They're going to be down there in those beaver meadows. And a lot of times the dog will point, but the grouse will sometimes be, in the thicket, and you
Hmm.
really can't be in a good position to shoot if you're going into flush. And so, I mean, it helps if you have another hunter, but at the same time, if you've got that, if you've got a flusher like Aki, you can say, go get the bird. So you're standing up on the creek bank, or, off to the side where you can see pretty clearly, and then Aki flushes the bird for you. So I mean,
Yeah.
it can work out really well, and save you
Yeah.
from having to go into the tangle. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I remember as a kid doing that for my dad. His pointers would go on point, and he'd be like, "Okay, go walk in front of her and get the bird up." I think that was more when
yeah,
we were training them because he did some field trialing, but he'd have me like walk up, kick up the bird he had planted there. And
oh
I
yeah,
remember doing that and thinking, why can't the dog do this? Like, can't it knows it's there? It's what we're here. Just can't we say like go flush it? But those
do
English
that.
pointers are like, I point, and that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I get that, you kind of, you appreciate that for, a staunch dog for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
but if it's,
That's the
if it's a
beauty.
bird like a pheasant that's running, or, a bird that's not going to hold point. I mean, you want the dog to have some adaptability so that they're
Right.
going to move, you know. So, you know, it's I like I said, I'm not a great trainer of bird dogs. I just get my dogs on birds, you know, and so a lot of it is just natural instinct and experience for them.
Yeah, same, very, very much so. Like if mine cannot embarrass me, I'm fine. And sometimes it isn't always the case, but
Yeah.
we try, and we have a good time.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I can't remember. I can't remember if this was in the book so far that I've read it or not. But have you always lived in Idaho, or have you lived elsewhere? And
Yeah,
had hunting experiences elsewhere?
that's a good question. So, shoot, I've lived all over the place. I was born in Utah, lived in Utah, you know, pretty much until I was like, I'd say sixth grade, seventh grade. Family moved up to Idaho for a couple years, and then we moved to North Carolina, of all places. So I actually went to high school in North Carolina. We didn't hunt out there. Then my family moved back to Idaho um, it was after about my first year of college. So I would have been, you know, 19 or so. So I've lived, you know, I'd call Idaho home since I was 19. So
Got it. Got it.
yeah. So most of my hunting has been in Idaho. I mean, I've hunted in Utah. I've hunted in some other states, South Carolina, you know, Kansas, and, you know, so I've hunted in some other states, but I'm mostly an Idaho guy. You know, it's hard to go other places when it's so good here.
Yeah, it's a tough place to beat. It's better off than we have, I think, but it's a similar kind of situation where you have um, different biomes. You know, you could drive an hour or two and be in some place completely looking different with different species. It's kind of a lot of the Northwest and Mountain West is like that, and it is tough to beat. It's weird when you go to other states. Is growing up here for me, and then I travel around for work a lot for a while and being like, this whole state pretty much looks the same. Like, yeah, there's differences, some pretty places and stuff. But I remember going to like Oklahoma and being like, so it's pretty much just this, unless I get closer to Arkansas. Like, wow, I guess I'm spoiled up there when I could just hop over and be in the Columbia Gorge or up at Mount Rainier or down here in
Yeah,
the desert. So yeah,
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 hard to beat.
definitely
You
tough to
know,
beat, from my
I'd
opinion.
say from where I live, I could probably drive, you know, within 2 hours time, be into most of Idaho's 9 upland species.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty dang special that way, you know. And I've you know been doing it long enough that I know even in a down year, like I mean, this year's probably going to be voracious because of the drought. But you
Mhm.
know, even in down years, I know where to find birds. You know, and know we can consistently get into them. So pretty good place to be. Pretty special place.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Twin Falls, and he was saying how I was mentioning like, I should just casually saying I should make it down your way and meet up in the season or something. He's like, I'm not sure how it's going to be. The drought's really bad, so I wasn't aware it was so bad on there. He was describing some of the conditions, and it sounds like you're all having a tough time down there.
Yeah, we didn't hardly get any snow. You know,
Yeah,
just probably the worst winter on record for a long time. So it's a little bit. I'm nervous for the birds. You know, especially for fire and all that.
yeah,
I mean, it could be terrible, but you know, hopefully we'll get a little bit of rain here. So
yeah, yeah. We were in some up here, not a ton of snow. I think because the Columbia comes up from British Columbia, I think that's going to be all right and allow us to irrigate enough for our farmlands. But like the snake wasn't looking good, which is what
yeah,
you guys are looking at too. So yeah,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. So let's
not fun.
pray for rain.
Hopefully it's a 1 year thing and not a new normal kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
That's always the hope, at least.
Well, I can say 2023 was one of our harshest winters I can remember. So,
That's true.
you know, I mean, it
Yeah.
could turn around really quick.
Yep. Yep. I hear, well, not to get too deep into weather, but I hear El Nino's looking like it's kicking our back around and kicking us out of La Nina. So that should bring us up here a little
I
more
hope so.
snow next winter. So fingers are definitely crossed on that because we could use it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your writing process. I'm maybe not as much as you because you've written 3 books, but I also love writing and always have. So I kind of get I understand the passion behind it. So I know some people, like my wife and my son, just like, why would you enjoy writing? What a chore. Like, I'm like, how do you enjoy math? That doesn't even make sense. But, can you kind of maybe go through what writing a book looks like to you? If you decide maybe what brings you to the decision to write a book, do you have enough essays and you're like, you know what, we could string all these together, or kind of what's that process from thinking about it to actually getting it maybe not published but written or going?
I don't know that there's any set way, but writing on the blog, I'd say has a lot to do with it. But I also kind of keep track of my adventures through pictures and through
Mhm.
the social media. So there's always that kind of helps me keep tabs on things. But usually, what happens is, you'll when you write for a blog or when you write articles, you kind of have, I guess, this build up, if you will, of things that you've produced, and then you kind of start picking out the themes of where things fit. But I'll give you an example. I mean, the first book that got published was the Idaho rough grouse hunting. That's actually my second book, and it was published first. I found a
Mm.
publisher that was willing to publish that, and I actually set out to write that book specifically about rough grouse hunting. And my mindset was, hey, there's a lot of really good literature
Nope. I think you froze,
that
Andy.
is specifically about rough grouse hunting. I thought nobody's ever done it in the West. Yet we have this wonderful, resource. We have great hunting and great opportunities. And so for me, it was, I want to do what was done before, but a little unique to where I live, which is here in the West. So even though it's called Idaho rough grouse hunting, I mean it could be Northwest rough grouse
Sure.
hunting. So it's just trying to I guess carry on that tradition. So that was kind of the mindset there. And I did write some of the stuff was previously published in the Covers magazine, which is the Rough Grouse
Yeah.
Society's magazine. Some of it was published in other I think one of the articles was in the Pointing Dog Journal, and some of the other ones were in Gun Dog. I think I got to go back and look at it, but the first book, which is the second one published, is Idaho Upland Days. That's the one that you have.
Yep.
That book was actually written first, and it was kind of, was originally going to be called Roadside Revelations, which is the subtitle. And that was based upon an article that I had written back for the Upland Almanac. And so that was going to be the original idea, but I changed it to kind of match the Idaho theme to Idaho Upland Days, and then Roadside Revelations comes up as a subtitle. But that's more of the kind of my beginnings as a bird hunter, and hunting all the different species, quail and pheasant and rough grouse and sage grouse and chucker. So, and it's about hunting with my kids. It's about the first part of it actually is about hunting with my first bird dogs. So that first whole third of the book is about stories about bird dogs. So super fun process on that one. That one took me from I probably wrote that back in 2011, and some of it was written a little bit later, but it wasn't published until 2022. So I sat on that one for quite some time and ended up self-publishing that. And then this last one is, I wanted to do what I did with Idaho rough grouse hunting, but I wanted to focus on all of the Idaho grouse species. So it has a similar tone and beautiful photography. I don't know if you know Jay Dowd. He's the upland
Hmm.
lowlight. He
Yeah.
does you should get him on your podcast, by the way. He's a great guy. He did the artwork, the illustrations for it.
Oh, very cool.
So, yeah. So it's going to be really beautiful and hopefully, fun to read.
Nice. Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Definitely be reading that. I guess it comes out in August, right?
Yeah. August the 18th
Okay.
is when it comes out. Yeah.
Right before the
It's
season,
already,
so I can get that in as I'm really getting jittery waiting for the season to start.
yeah, that was on purpose. We were hoping to tap into some of that excitement that people get there, before the season.
Yep.
The book is available for pre-order on Amazon, so you can
Okay.
get it there. And I'm also selling, pre-ordered signed copies, if you will, through my blog, which is the Upland Ways, so people can, Venmo me and get a signed copy if they're interested.
Very cool. Well, Andy, I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about your new book and your Golden and the French Brittany and all of it. And is there anything you want to put out for folks to reach out to you? I know you mentioned your blog, social media, anywhere else that people can reach out and see some of your work or see what you're up to.
Sure. I mean, I like I said, I'm pretty active on social media. I think I'm just Andrew Wayment on Facebook, but I'm also at Andy Wayment on Instagram.
Okay.
And I take tons of photos of me and my dogs hunting. I also take photos of tacos and things that I'm interested in, fishing and those types of things. So I'm quite a busy, I guess you could say, with social media. So if anybody wants to look me up, they can send me a direct message or whatever. I'm happy to communicate.
Great. And anyone listening, I'll put all of those in the podcast description, so you don't have to be frantically searching those in your phone. You can go click on them in the description, which you probably already have because you've already seen it before you started the episode. Anyhow, Andy, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to the Go Flush Yourself podcast. You can continue the conversation on our Discord server. The link is in the podcast description. You can also follow along with Matt and Jared on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to support the podcast, you can subscribe to the Go Flush Yourself on Patreon for the easy monthly cost of only $2. You can also check out our shop and pick up a Go Flush Yourself sticker, shirt, or other merchandise. All links are in the podcast description.